The elevator groaned like it had secrets. It always did around dusk when the old brick building inhaled the day's heat and exhaled it back into the stairwell, making the metal doors sweat. I nudged my shoulder against my grocery bag, juggling keys and patience, humming the chorus of a song I didn't realize I'd been listening to on loop. The hall smelled faintly of basil from Mrs. Delgado's cooking and laundry. Detergent from the couple at 3B who measured happiness in fresh towels. My door 3D was always the quietest spot on the floor. That was the point. I'd spent 2 years learning the exact silence this home made. The way the lock clicked, the scuff on the baseboard in the entry, the little sigh the window made when the evening breeze found it. Tonight, the silence was gone. The door was cracked open, voices, tumbling out boxes, sliding tape ripping, a laugh I knew too well. My laugh never sounded like that. Not in this family. "Hello," I said, half a step inside, half a step out. The keys cut into my palm. 3 heads turned toward me from the living room, like actors caught forgetting their lines. My mother. Wore her "I'm in charge of this chaos" sweater soft gray, sleeves pushed to the elbow. She had a roll of blue painter's tape in one hand and a Sharpie in the other. My father was in shirt sleeves back pocket full of plastic zip ties, like a handyman, though he'd never fixed anything he hadn't broken first. And on my couch, shoes on, legs spread like he owned the air itself, sat my brother, Ben, flipping through my coffee table book of architecture. Finally, my mother said, as if I'd kept them waiting, "We thought you'd be later." I looked past them. My books normally lined up like soldiers along the wall, huddled in boxes labeled bedroom, and misc, my throw. Blankets were balled on a chair, ready to be donated. The plant I nursed back from a fungal blight sat uprooted in a grocery bag like a hostage. "Why is my door open?" I asked carefully. "Why are you in my apartment?" Ben snorted. "Our apartment," he said, and slapped the book closed so hard the spine winced. My father didn't meet my eyes. He was busy rolling up the rug. I saved 3 months to buy, the one with the faint teal threads that looked like tide lines. "Let's be efficient," he muttered to no one and everyone. "No time for theatrics." I set the grocery bag on the entry table. Oranges broke loose, rolled 2 different directions, as if the floor couldn't decide which side it was. "On what's going on?" I said again, flatter now. "A shelf I could put this on later when the shaking stopped." My mother pasted on the kind of smile you wear to greet an acquaintance you plan to forget. "We've made a decision," she said, like this was a family boardroom and not my home. "Ben's moving in here." Silence, except for the stupid oranges tapping gently against chair legs like they were knocking for permission to belong. I blinked. "I'm sorry. He needs a place," she said, as if that settled the most complicated math. "He's starting fresh, the house is crowded, you're resilient. You can make anywhere work." My father grunted his support from the rug. "Family sacrifices," he added. "You'll understand one day." I laughed. It came out wrong. Too sharp, like a glass that cracked under hot water. "This is my apartment." Temporarily, my mother soothed, which meant never give back in this language we'd all learned too young. "Just while he gets on his feet. You're hardly here." "I live here," I said, "every day." Ben stretched his arms up over his head, exposing a belly of entitlement and a line of cheap cologne. "Don't worry," he said, as if generosity dripped from him. "I'll take care of it better than you ever did." "Get off my couch," I said. He didn't move. "Relax. The super's cool with me. We're friends now." The super, my stomach dropped. Had they dragged the building into this? The lease had my name on it, but this wasn't about the lease. It never was. In my family's grammar, paperwork was a suggestion and my boundaries were a rumor. "What did you tell him?" asked, but my mother was already walking toward the kitchen, narrating what she'd organized like a tour guide on a disaster bus. "I started a donate pile in your den," she said, each syllable brisk with tidy harm. "So much clutter. We're making space for Ben's things, springing his gaming setup." My den, I repeated, because sometimes the echo is the only weapon you have left. The den with my desk, my files, my old college notebooks, she said, slicing the air with her hand. Honestly, time to grow up. I stepped toward the hallway, unable not to. The den door had a piece of blue tape across it like a police line. Donate, my mother's neat handwriting announced. The room beyond was a bruise of boxes and shadows. The desk drawers, my desk. The first thing I bought for myself after closing were labeled sort, with a thin question mark, like mercy. Stop, I said. Stop touching my things. Your things, my father mocked from the living room, his voice heavy with the weight of his money that was never there when I needed it, but always there when he wanted it counted. You didn't build this alone. I turned. I did, actually. Ben swung his feet down off the couch and grinned. Look, this doesn't have to be a fight. Then he tilted his chin at my router. I already changed the Wi-Fi password. The room swayed so slowly, I thought maybe only I could feel it. A trick wave. A tide turning in a place where water shouldn't be? How did you get in? Asked. Who gave you keys? My mother shrugged, light. I had the old set from when you moved in. You're so careless with these things. She patted my arm like I'd spilled sugar. I changed the locks. I said, an old fear waking up. We had a locksmith on speed dial, my father replied, as if listing a grocery item. Don't be dramatic. Dramatic. My least favorite accusation. The silencing word. The muzzle. The oranges under the chair legs finally stopped moving. I bent to pick them up because sometimes you bend to pick something up or you break. Oh, the buildings. Afternoon noises continued beyond my door, distant laughter. A kid's feet hitting each stair. Mr. Vichnevsky humming to his plants. The ordinary world kept going. Independent, cruelly indifferent. My home was being stolen with carefully labeled tape while the hallway argued about dinner. This is illegal, I said, voice calmer than my pulse. It's illegal, too. Don't threaten us, my father snapped, standing to his full height, rug abandoned at his feet. You wouldn't have that tone if we hadn't raised you. Don't bite the hand that never fed me, said, and my mother gasped, as if I'd slapped her. There it was. How dare I say the quiet part where someone might hear it? Ben waved a dismissive hand at the boxes. We're consolidating. It's family property. Anyway, the mortgage is in, he stopped, face wobbling for a fraction, because something, somewhere, wasn't aligning with the script he'd been given. Say that again, I said. He licked his lips, a child tasting a lie. It's in the family. I let a beat stretch long enough for the fear to find him. Then I smiled without teeth. It's interesting. Because there's a thing that isn't in the family. It's in my name. My mother rolled her eyes. You and your paperwork. You're so obsessed with documents. Always waving around receipts. You think a stack of papers makes you right? About everything. A stack of papers, I said softly, made you pay attention when it was for Ben. Her mouth tightened. The tape roll squeaked against her palm. Why does he need my apartment? I asked genuinely now, as if a humane reason might be hiding in the mess. He has friends. He couch-surfed for months by choice. He blew 3 jobs in a row. Why this? Because, my mother said, lowering her voice to that firm, fake-sane tone tyrants use, we are giving him stability. We are making him a chance. You can manage Olivia? Olivia. My name fell from her lips like an accusation. In this house, my competence had always been a curse. Capable meant available. Independent meant exploitable. Ben stood, spreading his arms to gesture at the room as if unveiling a prize on a game show. I've already told my boys moving in tonight. We're bringing the big TV. It's going to be sick. Don't call my home sick, I said. He laughed, delighted by his reflection in his own audacity. You can crash at the parents' house a few weeks. Or your little friend's place. Maya, right? She loves playing hero. The grocery bag on the table still had milk sweating in it. The light through the window had shifted just enough to make the dust more honest. I looked at my palm where the keys had left crescent moons and thought, I need to choose a move that isn't a scream. I can't do this, I said again. Kay, you can't just decide something is yours because you want it more lazily. My father spread his hands. Peacemaker in a war he started. Kay, we're not the enemy. This is family. He's your brother. We give. We share. You share. I said, what I buy. He blinked, wounded by the accuracy. We supported. We co-signed your life, he said, which meant he once drove me to a bank and sat in the car. My mother sashayed back into the den and peeled up the corner of a taped drawer. Anyway, she said brightly, this is nearly sorted. You'll thank me later. You hold on to things like a dragon. We're liberating you. The word liberating hit me like a small, cruel joke thrown from a great height. I moved without meaning to a step. Then another until I was in the doorway of the den looking at the only piece of furniture that had ever made me cry when it arrived. The desk. Solid oak, with drawers that closed like a promise. I'd put it together myself in the middle of a Saturday afternoon while the sun found the floor in long, sweet rectangles and the radio played songs my mother called noise. I'd run my palm over the top, feeling its weight, thinking, this is real. I did this. I built a place for myself where no one gets to say whether I deserve it. The bottom right drawer had a tiny nick in the varnish where the movers bumped. I used to worry about it. Now I loved it like a freckle. Blue tape stretched across the front of those drawers, my mother's tidy handwriting declaring them sort. As if the question mark were mercy instead of menace. Touched the tape lightly, and it clung to my fingertip like a needy thing. Behind me, Ben laughed again. That sounded like a can getting kicked down an alley. Hey, sis, he called. Did you see? I already moved my PS5 into the bedroom. Thought I'd take the bigger closet. Never wear anything worth hanging. Anyway, the room telescoped. The hallway, the living room, my mother gesturing. My father's inching authority, everything slid to a soft blur at the edges, like my apartment was stepping back from me. It was a terrifying feeling, like a friend you trusted refusing to make eye contact. I closed my eyes. A memory rose, uninvited, like a lifeboat surfacing where you didn't even realize you were drowning. The day of closing, the title office. Smelled like old carpet and coffee. A woman with a neat bun slid a stack of papers across to me, and I signed and signed until my name felt like a new word. She put one document in a manila envelope and sealed it with a second layer of adhesive, the ceremonial kind that sticks to your teeth when you rip it. Keep this somewhere safe, she said. It's your recorded deed. It'll be mailed officially, but this is your copy. Where had I put it? I could see my hands then, a little shaking. A little joyful sliding that envelope into the bottom right drawer of the desk. I'd told myself it was symbolic, like a cornerstone. Foundation inside a foundation. I hadn't opened. It since didn't need to. The knowledge of its existence had been enough. Until now, my eyes opened. The blur sharpened. The tape on the drawer was still under my fingers, blue against wood. My mother's handwriting. My desk. My deed. I turned slowly, the way you turn when you feel you've found a live wire in a dark room and you want everyone to understand that the light is about to change. Ben's grin faltered for the first time all afternoon. What? He said, trying to land somewhere between mockery and fear. Are you doing? I peeled the tape back with one clean, angry motion. Snapped. A small, satisfying thunderclap. Opening, I said, "Don't you dare," my father barked. The book still, in his hand like a useless weapon. "We are talking to you. Don't you walk away." "I'm not walking away," I said, voice low, almost gentle. "I'm walking toward." The drawer slid open with its old promise. Inside, the things I keep where no one else gets to edit passport, spare copy. Of a letter my grandmother wrote me the week she died, a coin from a train ride in a country I can't afford to visit again. And the manila envelope, thick, sealed. My name on the tab in my own handwriting from a day when I believed paper could be a shield. I set the envelope on the desk, palms on either side of it. The room gathered around me whether it wanted to or not. My mother hovered in the hall, Sharpie dangling like a useless wand. My father came to the doorway and filled it, trying to make himself a wall. Ben stayed on the couch, but his body leaned forward, dragged by gravity toward the thing that might unmake him. Olivia, my mother said, testing a new tone. Softer coaxing, the kind she used when she wanted me to hand over something breakable. We're not the enemy. Don't make this ugly. I met her eyes, then let mine drop too. The envelope. The sticky flap caught the light like a horizon. You already made it ugly, I said. I'm making it true. I slid my thumb under the seal and remembered suddenly perfectly exactly where my power had been hiding all along. The dream of a place that was mine long before I ever held the keys. The dream of an apartment of my own was my private religion. It started in high school when every fight in our house ended with slammed doors and silence that cut sharper than words. I used to sketch floor plans in the margins of my notebooks. 1 bedroom, big window, kitchen shelves lined with jars. A place where no one could tell me what I deserved. At 17, I worked late shifts at a diner, pouring coffee into cracked mugs and scraping tips off the counter into an envelope I kept hidden in my sock drawer. Each bill was a brick. In the house I hadn't built yet. My parents never noticed, or if they did, they dismissed it. Why are you wasting yourself? My father scoffed once, when I came home after midnight, reeking of grease. Girls don't need independence. They need stability. You'll marry, and that'll be your house. But I wasn't building a man's house. I was building mine. The years of saving college only deepened the hunger. I worked 2 jobs, a bookstore in the morning, waiting tables at night. My classmates complained about essays. I counted quarters, calculating how many shifts it would take to cover rent, utilities, and someday a down payment. There were nights when I studied under the flickering fluorescent in the cafe kitchen. My notes speckled with grease stains, and thought, this is temporary. This is the cost of walls that no one can take from me. Every time my parents mocked me for working like a mule, I tucked their words into my spine as extra steel. The brother who got everything, Ben, never saved. He didn't need to. When he wrecked his first car, my parents replaced it. When he failed classes, they hired tutors. When he lost jobs, they made excuses. Bad boss, wrong fit, unlucky timing. At 22, he borrowed money for a startup idea. That fizzled in 3 months. At 23, he was still living at home, his room crammed with gadgets, sneakers, and trophies he hadn't earned. I remember overhearing my mother once whispering to a neighbor, Ben just needs a little push. He has potential. Funny? She never whispered that about me. She said loudly that I was stubborn and too serious. Signing day, when I finally walked into the title office at 26, I almost didn't believe it was real. My hands shook as I signed the stack of papers. The agent slid the manila envelope across to me, her voice calm, ordinary, as if she didn't realize she was handing me a miracle. This is your deed, she said. Keep it safe. I carried it home like it was glass, placed it in the drawer of my oak desk, ran my palm across the wood, whispered to myself, it's yours. I can't take it. I should have known better. In my family, nothing was ever truly mine without a fight. The apartment becomes a sanctuary. That apartment was more than walls. It was proof. Proof that I had built something no one could dismiss. The first night I lay on the floor with no furniture except a mattress, listening to the hum of the fridge and the creak of the pipes. And I cried, not from sadness, but from relief. I decorated slowly, secondhand bookshelves, thrifted lamps, a rug that made the living room feel like the ocean had left behind a tide. Friends came over and said, this place feels like you. For once, I wasn't invisible. I had carved out space in the world with my own hands. The family's reaction, my parents didn't celebrate. They criticized. You could have bought closer to home. My mother sniffed. You paid too much, my father said. Ben laughed. Nice starter. Pad, I'll crash here sometime. They never asked how many shifts I'd worked. Never asked how I managed student loans and bills together. Never once said, we're proud of you. But I didn't need them to. I had my keys, my silence, my peace. Until now. To build up to betrayal, looking back, I should have seen the hints. Ben dropping comments like, this place is wasted on you. My father joking. If Ben ever needs a place, you'll share, won't you? My mother sighing. Family property should benefit family. At the time, I brushed it off as noise. I thought the deed was armor. I thought the world respected ink on paper. But I forgot. In my family's dictionary, sharing meant taking, and family meant Ben first. The emotional stakes, so when I walked into my apartment that night and saw them boxing my life, it wasn't just theft. It was history repeating. All those cupcakes instead of cakes. All those canceled birthdays. All those graduations skipped. Or belittled, they weren't just taking furniture. Proof that I had ever built something on my own. Proof that I mattered. And I couldn't let them. Not this time. The mockery grows louder. Ben leaned back on my couch, as if gravity itself worked for him. His sneakers dug into the fabric like claws. He tapped his phone, smirking at messages I couldn't see. Boys are on their way, he announced casually. Told them to bring beer. Place is mine now. The words didn't sting like knives. They landed like a hammer, blunt, heavy, flattening everything I'd built. You can't just invite people to my apartment, I said. He tilted his head, feigning confusion. Correction, our apartment. Mom and Dad already said so. My parents stood behind him like silent bodyguards, their silence louder than his smirk. The last straw, my father clapped his hands together. Enough fighting. Olivia, you'll stay with us for now. We'll work out details later. With you. I said, in that house where I've never been more invisible. Don't be ungrateful, my mother snapped. Should be happy your brother finally has stability. I laughed, hollow, brittle. Stability built out of my sacrifice. You really think that's fair? Ben stretched lazily, yawning. Life isn't fair, sis, but it's easier when you're the favorite. His grin widened as if he'd dropped a punchline. Something inside me. Years of swallowed birthdays. Canceled parties, skipped graduations, cracked. The desperation to erase me. My mother walked toward the desk in the den, running her hand along the wood as if it were already hers. We'll clear these drawers out, she said matter-of-factly. Ben needs workspace for his gaming. Gaming, I choked. You're evicting me for video games? She waved her hand. Don't exaggerate. This place will still be family property. You'll visit. Visit, I repeated, my voice sharp, in my own home. My father shot me a look, the kind that had always silenced me as a child. But this time, it only fueled me. The threat of collapse, Ben. Swaggered past me toward the bedroom, humming, already claiming air that wasn't his. You don't even decorate, right? He called. Too boring. Wait till you see my neon lights in here. It's going to look sick. He slammed the door, muffling his laughter. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. The walls seemed to lean. Inciting with them, betraying me. Maybe I was powerless. Maybe the deed was just paper. Okay? Maybe they'd always find a way to erase me. My knees weakened. My hands trembled. I almost gave in. It's a flash of memory then, like a thread pulling me. Back from the cliff, I remembered the title office. The woman sliding the manila envelope across the table, her voice steady. This is your deed. Keep it safe. The weight of my signature, line after line, declaring me owner. And the drawer where I had placed it, bottom right. Always bottom, right? My heart steadied. My breath returned. The decision I walked into the den. My parents followed, confused, sensing a shift. My hand hovered over the taped drawer. The word sort, scrawled in my mother's handwriting, mocked me, daring me to peel it away. I turned to face them. You want to play this game? Said, voice low, trembling with contained fury. Fine, Let's play. What are you doing?" My father demanded. I ripped the tape away with one motion. The sound echoed through the apartment like thunder. The deed emerges, the drawer slid open smoothly, as if it had been waiting. Inside lay the envelope, thick, sealed, untouched since that day. I lifted it out, holding it high like a relic. "What's that?" Ben asked, emerging from the bedroom, his confidence faltering. "This," I said, my voice steady now, "is the truth." The fear in their eyes for the first time that night, my parents looked uncertain. My mother's fingers twitched around her tape roll. My father shifted. His stance, Ben's grin faded, replaced by a flicker of doubt. 'Cause they knew. Deep down, they knew paper could be stronger than lies. The cliffhanger, I placed the envelope on the desk, sliding my fingers under the flap. "You wanted to erase me," I said quietly, "but you forgot the one thing you can't erase: ink on paper." Ben swallowed, his voice cracking as he tried to recover it. "It doesn't mean anything," smiled without humor. "Oh, it means everything." And with that, I began to open the deed. The envelope splits, the flap tore with a sound sharper than their voices. Inside, thick paper slid free, stamped with seals and signatures. My name danced across the top line in ink that had once trembled from my hand, but now gleamed like armor. I laid the deed flat on the desk. The room seemed to shrink toward it. Every breath pulled into its gravity. "Read it," I said. My father shifted. "This is unnecessary." "Read it," I repeated, louder. The words that changed everything. Ben leaned forward, trying to snatch the document, but I pressed my palm down firmly. His fingers hovered, then retreated. I began to read. "It's property, located at 45 Westbrook Avenue, Unit 3D, solely owned by Olivia Hayes." My voice was steady, each word a blade. "Ownership rights are hereby granted to the purchaser, with all legal privileges and protections thereof." The silence afterward wasn't empty, was heavy, filled with the collapse of every excuse they had built. The faces of shock, my mother's lips parted, but no sound came. She looked like someone who had just found out the script she memorized was from the wrong play. My father's jaw tightened. His eyes darted across the page, searching for a loophole that didn't exist. Ben shook his head, stammering. No, this isn't right. It must be a mistake." They told me," he jabbed a finger, "toward. Our parents, they told me it was mine." The guests bear witness just then. The doorbell rang. Startled, I turned. A couple of neighbors stood in the doorway, carrying a small gift bag. "We weren't sure," they began. Awkwardly, I gestured for them to come in. "You're right on time," I said, voice firm. "Come witness this." They stepped inside, eyes darting between the tense family and the document on the desk. I raised the deed again, reading the line with deliberate force. "Sole owner, Olivia Hayes." The neighbors exchanged glances, understanding dawning. One whispered, "So it is hers." Their presence sealed it. Not only did I know the truth, now others did too. The collapse of authority bends. Bravado cracked. He lunged again, desperate. "Doesn't matter. Paper can't stop me from living here." "Can stop you in court," I said, evenly. "And trust me, Ben, this deed is law." My father tried to recover ground. "We only meant—" "No," I cut him off. "You meant to erase me again, but this time the paper speaks louder than your lies." My mother's voice was brittle. "We just wanted to help him. Help him." I laughed coldly. "By stealing from me? By undoing years of work you never respected?" Their silence confirmed everything. The new balance of power, I slid the deed back into its envelope with a deliberate calm. This apartment is mine. Legally, permanently, undeniably mine. And from this moment, so are the decisions about who stays and who goes. I turned to Ben, who was pale now, fury and disbelief warring in his eyes. "Pack your things. You're not staying here tonight, or ever. You can't do that," he shouted. I held the envelope up, I already did. The witnesses speak, the neighbors, shifting uncomfortably, finally spoke. We should go, one said softly. But before leaving, she turned to me and added, good for you. Don't let them take what's yours. Her words were simple, but they were validation I had craved for years. As the door clicked shut behind them, I realized the scales had tipped. My parents weren't in control anymore. I was. The aftermath in the room, the silence that followed, was suffocating. My parents stared at me like I was someone they didn't recognize. You've changed, my mother whispered. No, I corrected. I've just stopped letting you change the rules. Ben kicked a box, muttering curses under his breath, but he didn't move toward me again. The power had shifted, and he felt it. The public victory word spread quickly through the building, whispers in the hallway, knowing looks from neighbors. By morning, everyone knew the apartment wasn't family property. It was mine. And this story wasn't about my parents' authority anymore. It was about my resilience. The excuses begin the moment the door closed behind the neighbors. My parents pounced. My mother's voice was syrupy, desperate. You're overreacting. I never meant to take it from you. We were just rearranging things. Temporarily, my father added. We wanted to help your brother. He's struggling. Family supports. Family, I raised the deed again. Family doesn't steal what one member worked for just to hand it to another. That isn't support. That's sabotage. Ben exploded, shoving a box across the floor so hard it toppled. This is unfair. You already have everything. You've always had everything. I stared at him in disbelief. Everything. I worked double shifts for years. I paid every cent of this place myself. What did you sacrifice? He sneered. I don't care how you got it. I deserve it more. That word deserve was the anthem of his life, my parents' favorite lullaby. The calm reply, I didn't yell back. Instead, I smiled, slow, deliberate. Deserve isn't written on deeds, Ben. Names are. And this one has mine. His face reddened. He looked at our parents for backup, but their silence betrayed him. They were cornered too, trapped by the ink on the page. Parents' last plea, my mother tried one final tactic, guilt. Olivia, we gave you life. We raised you. Is this how you repay us? By humiliating us? Humiliating you? I asked. Stepping closer? No, you did that yourselves. I just revealed the truth. My father muttered, You've become cruel. No, I said firmly. I've become free. The final stand, I walked to the door, opened it wide, and pointed. Get out, Ben sputtered. You can't kick me out. I held up. The deed steady. I can, and I just did. You have 10 minutes. The authority in my voice stunned even me. For once, they had no comeback. The walk of shame, Ben cursed under his breath as he shoved his things back into bags. My parents hovered, pale and tight-lipped. But they didn't stop him. They couldn't. As he stormed out, he muttered, This isn't over. Metas. Glare calmly. Yes, Ben, it is. The parents' exit. My mother paused at the doorway, her voice trembling. You'll regret this. One day you'll see how much you hurt us. I shook my head. No. One day you'll see how much you taught me exactly what not to become. They left without another word. The silence that followed was the purest sound my apartment had ever known. The reflection, I closed the door, leaned against it, and let the weight of everything finally crash into me. My legs shook. My hands trembled around the envelope. But my heart felt steady for the first time in years. I walked to the window, looked out at the city glowing in the dusk. This place was mine. Not just the bricks and furniture, but the principle of it. The proof that no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't erase me. The symbol of independence that night, I placed the deed back into the drawer, but not hidden anymore. It sat at the very top, where I could see it every day. A reminder. A reminder that I had fought for this. A reminder that I was stronger then. their schemes. A reminder that my worth wasn't up for negotiation. The closing line, I poured myself a glass of water, raised it like a toast to the empty room, and whispered, "They tried to give my home away, but the deed had already chosen me. They tried to give my apartment away, but the deed already had my name." If this story moved you, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with your friends, and tell me your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. And make sure you subscribe to Toxic Bloodlines for more shocking family betrayals and the sweetest revenge. Until next time. Remember, the truth is stronger than their lies.